After a long week in the factory, I always looked forward on a Sunday to putting my boots on and just getting away from things for an hour or two. William Shepherd of Rochdale, he was a very exceptional man, and he's taught me about making boots. He was my mentor. He was only 13 years old when, in 1918, he started working in a shoe factory in Rochdale. And his father worked there as well. And he didn't just teach me the boot and shoemaking, he had lots of sayings which I'll carry with me forever, because he used to repeat himself quite a lot. But one of his sayings was, and pardon me for his voice, he had a very specific type of voice, and it was like, it doesn't matter how good the boot is, if it doesn't fit, it's useless. And so I always attached a lot of importance to fitting. So when I first started making the hiking boots in Altberg, I made them in 5 width fittings. And I even got a Brannock device. I had to get it from America, you couldn't buy them in England. A Brannock device is the measuring device for the foot. And so we could measure the length and the circumference of the foot, and we could offer 5 width fittings. Now in those days, in most retailers all around the country, their advice when buying a new pair of hiking boots was stick your finger down the back of the boot. Now, if you could only get your finger in that far, the boot was too tight. But if you got your finger all the way in the boot, and you could, especially if you could wiggle it about, the boot was too big. And to be honest with you, for 50% of the people, it worked fine. But for 50% it didn't. And that's quite a lot of hikers out there with boots that maybe could be fitting them better than they were. In 2005 or 2006, I couldn't help but notice that although we made 5 width fittings, there were people's feet that were looking for something different. For a start, instead of the strong leather that we use in the boots, they were wanting a softer leather boot, something with more comfort, instant comfort in it. And also the weight of the boot became important, and a little bit of flex in the boot, not a solid plank that you were walking on. So I started to work on a new boot, one which used softer leathers, more supple, and it was on a new last I'd been working on called the A-form last. And the A-form last, it uses the principles and the characteristics of a cross-country running shoe last. It's cranked up more at the toe, it has a narrower heel, and after about a month or two, because I'm not very quick on doing stuff like this, I had the new boot. And I always make the first pair of boots in my own size, and so once I'd got it made, one Sunday I put the boots on my feet and I drove down to Malham. Malham Cove, if you've never been, you should go. It's the most spectacular limestone circle. It was formed by meltwater from the glaciers at the end of the last ice age, 12,000 years ago. And to give you an idea of what a beautiful walk the Gordale Circular is, here's a picture. That's Malham village. So you kick off there, and it's a lovely old Yorkshire village. And then you go past Janet's Foss. Now that's a little waterfall, almost a sort of place where you'd expect elves and fairies to be lurking underneath the waterfall. And then down Gordale Scar. And look at the difference in the countryside there. I mean, that could be anywhere. Isn't it fantastic? And then up to Malham Tarn, up on the top. Now Malham Tarn, when I do that walk, I always stop there with my flask of tea and my snack on me, a sandwich or something, and I sit over there, and do you know what? When I look out across Malham Tarn, the factory is 1,000,000 miles away. And that's why I go there. And finally you come round, you walk down the valley, you come round to Malham Cove. And as I say, if you've never been there, you should try to go. So when the boot went into production, we have to give the boot a name. It's what we do. I call the boot the Malham. And this is the Malham boot. Soft, supple leather. And this is the A-form last. Now, the Malham boot, like I say, it's got much softer, supple leather. It's really comfy, really, really light. And inside it has a Sympatex waterproof membrane. I always use Sympatex as the waterproof membrane in my boots. I don't use the other ones. I'm not going to name any other names. That wouldn't be right. But Sympatex is it's eco-friendly. It's the surface of it, the material is all recycled fibres, and the membrane itself, it's not Teflon or PTFE. It's made from a material which is biodegradable. So, as far as or compared with other membranes, it's eco-friendly. So, and the boot is made on this last. Now, the main features of the boot are, it's got a narrower heel. Can you see that? And lovely shape. You know, but combined with that narrow heel, what you've got is it's sculpted here. So when this and this come together, it holds the back of your foot, which is great for ankle support, and also for pronation. It resists the pronation a bit and keeps your foot lined up in the boot. Also, the forefoot is slightly wider. Now, I've kept the volume more or less the same. It's a little bit more volume, but the forefoot's wider, and that gives you better stability on rough terrain or even on anything. It just gives you better stability. And here, this bit, which is over where you lace the boot, I moved it backwards. So it helps to push the heel into the back of the boot and keep it there. And most important of all is the toe lift. I lifted the toe up much higher. That's what we call the toe lift, the toe spring. And see, when you walk, it rolls like this. And so when you see it in the boot, look, that's a much more roll on it. Now, the first time you put it on your foot, you can feel that straight away. And it's almost like the boot wants to go walking. And more importantly, because it's sprung, the boot doesn't flex as much. You get a little bit of flex because that's what you're doing. Now, when a boot's flatter, as soon as you go to there, the boot starts to flex. But this is different like that. It is quite a different boot. And so, although it looks the same, it looks like a classic English boot, which it is, it's different. There's a great song by Ewan MacColl. It's called The Manchester Rambler. And the last two lines of the chorus are, I may be a wage slave on Monday, but I am a free man on Sunday.